Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. And some guys of you requested that I show a little bit of sound design, and I was wondering, can Ableton stock plugins Psy? And I use a lot of Ableton stock plugins, actually effects and the EQ and the compressors, but I don't use the instruments much, and I want to change that. And I think a reason of that is because I got biased. When I used them the first time, they all sound a bit raw. But the reason for that is because most of them are actually not like complete synthesizers. You need to combine them with the other modules. And in this episode, I want to show you that you can build your own acid lead synthesizer with Ableton stock plugins. I created a little asset lead here with just Ableton stock plugins, and I want to show you quickly how to do this. So first, let's have a listen. So that's the lead we're gonna recreate today. And there's three parts in this video I want to talk about. One is the synthesis of the main acid sound. The second thing is the effects. And the third thing is about the MIDI. So the first thing I want to show you is how I created this little operator patch. And I loaded a new instance of operator in here which we will recreate this patch. So let's turn this off and this one on. And the first thing we need is the waveform. So we will use the saw D wave, and it will sound, and I will leave all the effects on, maybe besides reverb and delay. And I will also talk later about those effects here. So that's how the sound actually, the initial saw wave would sound if we would leave everything as it is here. I just turned off the filter. I mean, it's quite open. So it's more or less the saw wave. Actually, the filter is the first thing we will add to this. So you can either choose 12 or 2040 dBs, and you can also check out those modes if you want to have like a different sound. And we will put the frequency down. Actually, we are gonna copy the frequency from our modulation over here so that we don't have to think a lot about this. I mean, you can basically see what it does. It kind of like travels from like 100 to maybe 650. This is like opening and closing the filter, and it will kind of like reveal and unreveal frequencies, and especially in combination with this resonance, which is quite dependent on what you want to do with your acid pattern. Acid patterns, even with low resonance, and you can have some with high resonance. So depending if you want to have it more chirping, or if you want to more like have a bassy sound, you put that more up or down. I will put it up for now. And at the moment we are at this sound. As you can see, there's not much happening, and the reason for that is we need a second movement in our filter, and we will do this with the filter envelope here. So basically, an envelope is your filter is opening to a certain degree, and we can set that here with the envelope. So how much the filter is influenced by this envelope. And we will set this to around 50. And then the next thing is we need to set those values here. You know, like if you move this moves a little bit, but apparently the initial curve is so much curved down that we either need to have like a very high value, so like 8 seconds, for example. Or you can also move this, but it doesn't sound so cool, I think. You can move it like a little bit up. Yeah, let's put this to 8. And we want to have the release down. So basically this is traveling down the curve, and the release, so once the note stops, the release starts, and we don't want to have like a super long release. Want to have it staccato, and I will set this initial to around 30. We're getting closer to our acid sound, and one really important element on acid sounds is distortion and shapers, and the soft one works really well, and some values between like 4 and 12. So that's actually already getting in a good direction. The next thing I want to set up is this oscillator values here. I think I put this to around 600. And also the release shorter. So that's basically our amplitude envelope. And also I don't want to have this influenced by velocity. Let's quickly compare with what we had before. The new patch actually sounds a little bit better, I think, because I put more of that shaper in. Let's check, let's compare. Here in the filter shaper drive 8, and here in the filter I have 7. So I think that's the main difference for now. Oh yeah, there's one thing actually I didn't show you yet. It's if you click on those here, then you can also map parameters. And I want to also map the velocity of our nodes to the filter resonance. Depends also a bit what you set here, how much you will need here. I don't know what this is, but I don't want to have that. We can also set voices. I want to have something which is odd, that we have one in the middle and more voices outside. But that's it actually from the operator patch. So there's more things you can do. As I did in this patch, I, for example, have like a second one, which is basically frequency modulating the first one, which you can turn on optionally. So that's all things you can do. So for example, you could put on this one. And then give it some wave. I think I gave it a square wave. Makes it a little bit more dirty in my opinion. I don't know if you like it or not. You can also fiddle around with decay and release time of that one, obviously. Let's leave it like this. So I think we are done with the actually the main work. That's the operator patch. But believe me, it's not as easy as it looks, because if you have one of those not correct, actually one of those here, then it can easily kind of like sound not good. As you have seen, for example, if I would have forgot to set this envelope moving the filter, then we wouldn't have had any sound. So be careful. Once you have good settings, it's usually quite easy to change them to another good place. But to get initially there, it's a bit tough sometimes. Now let's take a look at our effect section, and yeah, maybe we turn all of those off for now, and then I will show you what I did. So we have one low pass filter here, and I wanted to have like a second filter to make it like a little bit more interesting. And you could also like try to high pass it, for example. It doesn't need to be necessarily like another low pass. You could do the exact opposite and have like a high and a low pass, or a band pass. If you do a band pass, then you probably would need to group this and let something through, because otherwise your sound might be a bit limited. So it gives some additional resonance. It makes it a little bit more interesting because it's not moving so static. It's moving a little bit more chaotic, all those two resonant points. Also put like a lot of drive in here. Makes it sound very heavy. We'll take care in a later step about that, which I will also show you. Then I have like another saturation unit here. So you need to add some drive to make this really work. And I think soft, medium and hard curve worked really well. And then you set, you set some values you like here. You can reduce the bass, for example, or the frequency. yeah, just try around what sounds good. It's that simple. There's no real trick. Just like move stuff around and listen, does it improve or not? And the same goes here for the pedal. It's also a distortion unit. Maybe we turn the old ones also off. So you can see it makes the sound dirty, more gritty, more interesting. Now it's time to turn all of those on again, and I will show you, because we added like a lot of like low end and made it very bulky, and so I want to EQ it a bit. So what I do a low cut that we don't conflict with kick and bass. I go a little bit down here and I push over here. So mostly over here, and I have this, which is kind of like giving a little bit extra here. So the next thing I added here is a delay, which will place the sound a lot better in the mix. You will see it will kind of like make a difference, a huge difference if you put the delay on or not. Don't give too much feedback, so something like 20 to maybe 40 is usually good. We have a dotted 8, so 3/16 is like 2/16 1/8 note, and 1/16 is the dotted basically back there, a ping pong. 30%, nothing down here. You can kind of like move this a little bit how it sounds best for your sound. Then I have put like a multiband compressor here to control a little bit the different bands. Maybe let's turn that one off. It sounds a bit more controlled, and what you need to do is, depending on which acid sound you create, you need to set kind of like a low band. Usually it's like 80 maybe to 100 hertz, and then a high band, maybe something between 7 and 12 kilohertz, and then you can push this also on the bands if you want. And this is basically, if you have not enough sound, it pushes the sound, and the other side here, the red side, is how much it pushes it down. And there's basically two things you can do. You can move it, so that's basically the threshold of the compressor, so if it's below that sound or above that sound, and then you can also move it like up and down. That's basically the ratio, so how much it compresses it, and then you can set also those values. But it's basically controlling the sound, so you don't want to, as it's have a lot of peaks, and you need to control them somehow. So that's one way to deal a little bit with that. And then I have another compressor here, and I set it to very quick attack. Because of that envelope, if you remember the shape, it peaks very high and then falls down very quick. So that's what we want to control with the compressor here. So that's what we want to control with the compressor. If we have a fast attack, then I also want to have like a faster release, not too much knee. So you can see it reduces like 2 or 4 dBs here. You don't want to crazy compress it here like -12 or something. So if you're doing this, then you might need to adjust the levels a little bit early. I think I did it here. You can see like gain -3, or you could higher the threshold. That's another thing. And in the end, I just created like a group, and I have here a panning, like an auto panning, which just pans the sound left and right and changes it a little bit over time with those LFO tools. And I have a reverb, which also helps it to place it a little bit in the mix. So we have talked about the synthesis, which is actually quite easy. It's a saw wave with a very plucky filter envelope. In that case, high resonance and some mapping from the velocity to the resonance. So that's the main ingredients over here. Then we have talked about the effects, which are mostly saturation. The rest is basically placing it in the mix. So EQ, delay, compressor, panning, and reverb. So that's nothing special about this acid sound. That's something you should probably do on every sound in some way, maybe not all of those, but some of those. And then we have the last part. It's about the MIDI, and there's actually a separate video in which I explain this, and I will link to this video up here, but I want to show you quickly in this video as well. I created like a little Max for Live device, which creates 16th notes basically, and then you have here in your MIDI, you just need to put all the other notes in, and all the notes which are not in here, like this one wasn't in here like a second ago, will be filled up with like short 16th notes. But if you want to know more about how this works, check out the video I linked to. And if you want to download this little helper, then you can find this on my Gumroad. And the cool thing is I will also add you all of this. So I will add you the whole Acid 303 rack on my Gumroad to download. If you check out the other video, there's a free download code in the video. Otherwise, I think I made it like very cheap so that everybody who wants to support the channel, you can also donate whatever you want. And if you like this video, then please give us a thumbs up. That helps me to spread the video. Also, leave me in the comments what you want to see next, what topics you are interested in. And if I have something to say, then I'm always glad to make a video about it.